For TraderInsight.com, I'm Adrian Manzini. It's time for Doc's Daily Dose. Let's take a look at a scalper setup that happened recently. This was in DISCK, Discovery Communications, and it's interesting for a couple reasons. This is not the run-of-the-mill scalper setup. So once again, this one trades a lot like Apple. Right out of the gate in the morning, we had spreads that made sense on this trade and got us in at that 41.97 violation if we were watching, right? You can't be watching 10 things at once. I understand that, so sometimes you just miss these off the open. 41.97 got you in, 41.76 got you out. Quick profit on that first entry. Popped higher, made this checkmark inversion. 41.76 entry. That one we called live in the room with a 41.82 stop. So a little 6-cent loss on the second entry. Then we had this move higher. And this was followed by this mirror image bar lower. We call that a double header or a kings and queens setup, and that set this entry in motion. Called this live in the room as well. 41.76 on the way in. Came down to 41.55 and consolidated right there. And if you'll recall, we were watching this one for an extension move lower. Market started looking a little bit weak. Stock in particular was getting hit with a lot of sell side volume. And the first thing we did, drew some fib extensions to find out where the logical place was to look for an extension move lower. So in TradeStation, just grabbed our fib tool, measured that first move, and then what we saw was that a consolidation here right under this 41.58 level, which also happened to correspond with the green pivot. That's not on the chart here intraday, but the floor trader pivot was right above that line. And it kept us sort of bound up underneath there, and then the first extension we looked for down to 41.42. That gave us a 38.2 extension. Next one we called in the room was the 50% extension down to 37. That was just a minor extension, and then down to 32. So you had about an extra 10 cents on this part of the fib move, and that was actually an extra 23 cents over the initial target on the trade. But then, right, we started talking about, well, this thing looks like it's got legs and could extend even lower. And if you got out here, of course, you missed all of this, headed lower into the next part of the session, and then ultimately it had this giant move down, which I would argue is going to be hard to get a hold of no matter what, because unless you're really trend following this thing over the course of the session, it's going to be hard to hang on to it for that long and not get stopped out on some of these little ticks to the upside. Well, the tool that we referred to in the room was called a 3-line break chart, and let me just switch to that right now. I've already had a bunch of questions about this one. Hey, 3-line break, what the heck is that? Well, you know, what are you talking about? How did you get it to draw that chart? Well, this chart is available in TradeStation. You just right-click on and then format the symbol, and once you get your format symbol dialog up, you're going to go to settings, and you can select line break. And I'm doing 3 line breaks using 5-minute bars. And what that did for me was gave me a very clear indication of trend. 3-line break charts take the trend and make it almost impossible to miss, because you don't get a reversal bar, so you don't get a green bar until you have violated 3 lines or broken 3 lines to the upside. So the top of this bar, top of this bar, top of this bar, boom, that gives you a green line to the upside. Look how much of the trend you capture. All the way down. Right? All these bars are created as they continue moving in the direction of the trend. They have to exceed the low of the previous bar in order to draw a new bar, and what that does for you is gives you an indication of a trending move that doesn't have a bunch of noise. It takes the noise out of it, makes it much easier to follow what's going on in the market, and again, you only get a new bar in a different direction when price reverses, and that got you move all the way down to 40.71 and ultimately stopped you out at 40.83. We're going to do a lot of work with 3-line break charts. I know a lot of people are interested in them. We'll have some courses available on how to use these charts to really tune up your trading. If you have any questions about this or any other topic in general, shoot me an email, adrian@traderinsight.com. I hope you had a great trading day today and an even better one in store for tomorrow. The best trader education anywhere, only from Trader Insight.